It's a good question. I don't know if it's a worry or if it's just more of a curiosity. Nice gear head change, man.
What changed? I didn't see anything.
I didn't see. I didn't see nothing, man. But for me, it's kind of like that. The way I feel about the future. I mean, I think anybody has a curiosity of how the future is going to look, and we live in an evolving world anyway. This is just one of those situations that nature has the upper hand here and putting its foot down, saying you got to do this now, or you're not going to be on this planet anymore. I'm a little concerned about the robustness, if you will, of this industry, the automotive industry. It's always been resilient in many ways and shapes and forms. We've been through, pandemics in the past. We've been through world wars. We've been through many wars. We've been through attacks on our own soil. We've been through crashes, depressions, you name it. But we've come out. This is a little different animal, though, because it's not just about the economical impacts that it's having. It's having psychological effects on people. When you're forced to social distance and not be interactive with other human beings because of stuff like this, that's the worry that I have. I am more concerned with the human spirit than I am with the industry.
So it has changed some things in the car sales industry for the better, and you're making me think of some of those things. But before we get to that,
yeah,
okay,
I know. Yeah, can I say it? Can I say it? If you don't see my star on your car, you better come see old DW.
So, yes. Speaking of which, NASCAR's resuming races, but without the spectators.
We will talk about that.
Speaking of how things are changed, okay? All right.
And I have that list in front of me. If we want to share that, let's get into that here in just a minute.
I want to roll this back quickly.
Okay.
And at some point about 6 months ago, one of us, I think it was me, but I get us confused sometimes. It might have been you, okay? One of us, so we were talking about this shift where Ford and GM announced, hey, everybody. Ford kind of was more vocal about it earlier on, and they said, we're going to stop making cars. We're going to have like 2 car models for sale in the United States, and everything else is going to be truck, crossover, SUV. Yeah. And one of us said, do you remember 2008 when the whole economy tanked and people just flat out stopped buying large vehicles because they needed fuel economy?
Exactly.
And ooh, this is dangerous territory, because the minute that something bad happens to the economy, what's going to happen if they don't have fuel efficient vehicles to sell?
I hate to say I told you so.
That's right. That's right. But on the other side of that, what about oil prices?
Well, okay, so that is the difference now, is gas is cheap. If you have a paycheck to be able to buy it, right? So
there's a lot of variables in this, man.
At least we don't have Carter trifecta or whatever. But
can we just like peel the layers back on this thing, man?
Yeah.
I mean, it just gets
all right. So layer one, called the car buying experience right now.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's all kinds of like incentives, like you were telling me yesterday that they're extending out what used to be 60 months or 5 years if you're going to go buy a new car. Now it's like 6 months or 6 years, 7 years, 8 years.
84 months. 84 months. And here's what I'm finding, pretty much across the board, everybody's kind of doing the same thing. Now, Nissan just put an offer out there on the table. And now, folks, what I would encourage you to do is that at the first of every month, that's typically when they roll out these new incentives.
Yeah.
So if it's like the end of the month, you probably ought to wait until the first of the month, because those incentives will change or carry over.
I'm going to counter that. I always buy my cars on the last day of the month or a couple days before.
Well,
they'll do whatever it takes to hit that number, man.
Oh, I know it, because they're trying to get rid of. I know it, but I'm talking about incentive-wise.
If you're does not now,
because the incentives are going to roll out every month.
I can give you a million reasons why you shouldn't be buying these American cars on an 8-year or 6-year loan note, but
right.
First and foremost is nobody keeps their cars that long. And if you're
Not
going to be
anymore.
upside down longer if you do that, and then you're going
Right.
to take a loss. And we could see that. We could see that becoming a factor in 2 or 3 years from now. But if you have a good
Sure.
job and your job's not impacted right now and you're thinking about buying a car, hey, stop hoarding toilet paper, okay? If you want to do something positive for the economy, go buy a car.
Go buy a car.
If you're going to hoard something, go buy a car right now. That's how you help yourself if you've got a good job and the economy.
Stop with the TP. Stop with the TP, people. What is wrong with you? Stop.
Okay, so the car
back to the
buying.
Back to the incentives.
Okay,
Yeah, the
yeah.
car buying. So let's go back to the incentives, though, and this will tie into what you just said. 100 reasons why you shouldn't be buying a car, but so you've got Nissan just released today, first of the month, that it is going to be offering 0% financing up to 84 months. They're giving you 3 months, no payments, and then an additional 2 months defer payment, 5 months without payments. Now, let me explain something to you guys. You do still have to pay for the car. And what bothers me about this stuff is that they're dangling the carrot, okay? Be very careful and be very in tune with your own finances, because if you're having to defer the payment for 5 months to buy a vehicle,
That's not smart.
that's not very smart,
So
guys.
now I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. Now I'm gonna clarify this, and I'm looking at their incentives page right here. We've talked a little bit about Nissan in the past with Carlos going and tax evasion and going to prison and then escaping
yeah.
to Lebanon, and they've kind of lost
That's
their
just
way. And
so-
Nissan's in
so
trouble
bizarre.
right now in terms of their vision and their leadership and their sales and a lot of things. Now I have owned some of their products. I've had some of their products I really loved my Z car. Okay. Would you right now, Jay? Would you go out and buy a Nissan on a 7-year car note
Absolutely not.
if you had a great job?
No.
I'm just not.
No.
Their quality
No.
control right now. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
reasons, but not
I mean, you
7
really-
years,
yeah.
man. I'm not
Do
gonna
your
keep that
homework,
sucker
man.
for 7. It's not gonna be a. I don't.
Nah.
I mean, to each
No,
their
I'm-
own, but
No, that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it. That's my final answer. Do I need to get a lifeline to?
no,
make sure that's-
I think
is
I'm
that
with
right?
you. And look, and again, all you haters out there, Nissan is corporate North American headquarters right here in my backyard, practically. I get it. You know, you guys need to sell cars, but you're gonna have to
Now-
up the quality situation a little bit.
Here's the deal, though.
Okay.
I would buy a Nissan if it were a Japanese production vehicle.
See, this is the problem with me having all these different web pages open. Is then I click on a pop-up
Did you
ad.
just eject your wife out of the house or something with a button over there or something?
No. I was trying to close the
Mr. Ga-
Nissan webpage.
Mr.
yeah.
Gadget over there.
So
yeah.
you were saying, okay,
Yeah,
Japanese
if it were,
import.
if it were
Yeah.
Japanese production, oh, absolutely. Why? Quality control,
Because they will
guys.
chop your head off with a samurai sword if you do a bad job in the assembly plant. I'm not kidding. Well, okay, I
Can
am,
you
but
see? Can you see Belushi? If Belushi had that job, that would be awesome.
they don't screw
You wanna
around
go
with their It's
No,
quality
they don't.
control
They
is.
don't. Quality control is like the highest. It's the highest expectation. I wish we in this country would have adopted that.
Okay. Oh yeah. Well, and we might. This could be a resulting
be-
change if.
Well, if we
Ooh,
get into,
let's get into this. Okay.
let's get into it. Let's go. Okay,
So
I'm with you.
I want. Nah, wait a minute. I'm torn here. So, let's finish the
talk
car
about
sales thing.
Okay, the buying. So
Yeah.
you want me to talk about some of the phone calls I made?
Yeah. Wait. Let's hear them.
Okay, so check this out. So I wanted to. First off, what I did is I wanted to see what the online experience was going to be like. Okay, so same dealership. So I logged into their website and immediately, poop, hey, I'm here to help you today. What is your name? Gave my name. What are you interested in? I just kind of want to know what the shopping experience is like. How, can I come down there? What can I do? Yada, yada. And I let it hang there until I got a response back. In the meantime, I got on the phone and I called the dealership. Okay. I still have the same options. There was no message basically saying due to COVID-19, none of that stuff. So you're still able to call and select who you want to talk to. I chose sales, and a guy answers the phone, and which, by the way, Andre, if you're watching, thank you. That's my first question was, hey, can I come down and like talk to you about a vehicle? He goes, well, we're only doing appointments. I'm like, okay. He goes, and I'm only one guy. I said, whoa, elaborate. We're only allowed to have one salesperson on site. One person here in sales. That's it. And I said, well, how can can I walk the lot? Oh, yeah, you can walk the lot all you want. But you're going to have to call me if you want to test drive something. I said, well, how do we work that experience out? He goes, well, you just tell me what car you want to drive, and we'll do a key chain. I'll get a little information from you over the phone. I'll have the key, hand the key out to the door, and you can go test drive it all you want. I said, well, what about the experience of like buying the thing? Well, again, that's where the appointment comes in, and we'll have to social distance, but you can come inside.
But who loves that? Do you love that? I mean, that's like such a dreaded process for most people anyway, right? Like the actual buying experience.
More of that, he says, they prefer to do it online.
You know, like, let me go to the tower and let's play games with what the guy up there says, and right?
Exactly.
Like, that's a good thing that's going away.
Well, I think that it is. And that's the thing. I'm kind of starting to like this business model.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't there like a company like Saturn that kind of had this is our price? And
yeah, and there are companies that have adopted that other than Saturn. And by the way, and this is a whole other podcast, but just because you are paying what's posted on the window sticker does not mean there isn't a way to negotiate an end price. There are other ways to do that. We can get into that.
That's about 30. That price is like 30% on top of 30% on top of 30%. So
we tried to buy for my wife's last vehicle, we looked at the Lexus RX 350. Mm-hmm. We looked at the new Honda Pilot. Mm-hmm. We looked at the BMW X3, and we looked at the Ford Edge. And we went to the biggest Ford dealer in Nashville, and the guy went, here's our price. And I went, okay, well, what can you do with that? And he went, that's our price. And I went, okay, but you need to understand that I'm looking at a BMW and a Lexus, and those are both luxury vehicles, and you're not. And they're coming in more competitively than you are. And he went, yeah, well, that's our price.
Wow.
And I went, all right, well, see ya. Thanks. And then he called me up like 2 days later, and he's like, hey, I'd really like to have your business. And I went, yeah, well, you know my terms. Like, you repeatedly calling me isn't going to change. Like, So
no.
There's companies that have been doing this for a while. Now, there's a thing that they're doing here in the Nashville area that takes it a step further, which is you go onto the website, you look at what they have to offer, you find a car that you want, you make contact with the salesperson, and they bring the car to your house and leave the keys like somewhere. And then you just have it to drive it, and then when you're done test driving it, they come and get it.
Yeah.
So they'll bring it to you. It's almost like they're modeling after the food delivery guys.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, they're going to have to really, really reinvent some things here. The sales tactics and everything. And, you know, I think that it's going to be really tough for the automotive, for the actual car sales side of the industry to come back. And they're going to have to entice people to make it worth their while. And I think we may see, you know, another similar like cash for clunkers type thing.
Yeah, but ooh boy, I hope it's run like way better than that, because
absolutely. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To incentivize it for people to get in there to want to really buy, and people buying, if you're buying a vehicle and you can afford to buy a vehicle, please do it, because it's helping the economy.
Yeah,
if you can afford it, by all means.
Honestly, in terms of leverage and so like we all understand that the car buying experience is typically a little bit slanted towards the dealership, right? They've got what you were just saying, 17 different ways, 30% on top of 30% on top of 30%, because they know the game, man. You're buying one car every 5 years. They're selling that same car 5 times in a day.
Right.
Times however many cars they sell and different models.
That's right.
They know the games. You're not going to beat them at their games, okay? That they've got ways to earn. And look, they're not in business to lose money. Nobody stays in business if they're losing money. But what this has done, it's going to tighten their belt a little bit, because it is. I have not, Jay, now I'm a technology guy. So the minute that technology presented itself to me, I started using it to buy cars. Right. I have not bought a car in the traditional way of walking into a dealership and going, I want that car, in over 10 years. Me.
Wow.
The last 4 cars that I've purchased, let me think about this. So, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last 7 cars that I've bought for either myself or my wife, I have had everything nailed down before I even set foot in the dealership. That's the magic of the internet. Like, I can look up prices and, call deal. I can look up inventory. I can go, you have a car on your lot. It's the exact model I want. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, I did the same thing. It's been 6 years since I purchased a vehicle. I'm one of those guys. Car dealerships kind of hate me because I go in with a purpose.
Yeah, right. Know what you want before you walk in the door.
I know what I want, and I'm going to hang on to that thing as long as I can. If anything, the service side of the business loves me. And that's another. And let's talk about a couple of other things that do tie in to this. What dealerships are doing. I think you're going to see it increase on their service business.
Yeah.
In order to, dealerships are going to have to really, be there for the public and maybe expand on what they're doing, not just to their own specific models. Maybe taking on have just an oil change department. That's just because that's bottom line profit.
Right. But even though the Lexus dealer in my hometown tries to tell me that it's not, or that they don't, that place I could stand to see, not be in existence anymore. But okay, so
service department and parts department.
But the interesting
they're
thing
essential.
On the sales side, it's bad enough that they can't have a full sales team, so a lot of those people are struggling a little bit on the sales side.
Right.
You have removed the one thing from them that the minute that you step foot in a dealership or on a dealer lot, that leverage shifts from you to them, right? This situation and the changes has removed that power shift. Now all of a sudden, they can't park you over in a corner at a salesman's desk for 3 hours and wear you down until you go, well, I'm done. How much? Right? I got stuff to do.
Right.
Now they are forced to play by your rules.
Exactly.
And that could be a big factor in sales numbers for. I don't know. We'll see. They're going to have to be creative, like you said.
They are going to have to be creative, and I mean, you kind of wonder. I read an article. It's Bloomberg actually. Where dealers remain open, the industry has already come up with some neat ways to keep clients safe. In the U.S., used car retailer CarMax permits customers to take a test drive without a salesperson sitting next to them.
Yeah.
And vehicles are sanitized when someone has touched or sat in them. Now, I want to take that a step further. Hey, chemical guys, if you're listening right now, if you're watching us, and we're going to put a link up on our website to go buy this, but you have that new car scent stuff, that fresh car smell stuff, you're going to sell a ton of it. Here's why. Because you're going to be buying cars that smell like sanitizer.
You're going to come, yeah.
Who wants to buy a hospital?
New car smell, baby.
New car smell.
It's bad for you, and I love it, and I know I'm not alone. So
chemical guys, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of their cleaning products. In fact, I was just got a new foam blaster that we've been using that is pretty sweet. I run their car wash stuff through it. Okay, so and I'm subscribing to your 2-bucket wash technique now. You'll be happy to know that I've Ever since you put
very
that
good.
video out and you started talking about the dual bucket wash, like I've started paying
Yep.
attention to that. Okay?
Folks, check that one out. That's a real good video, man. Very well done. Keith did a good job there.
So I didn't do anything. That was all you. So
Yeah.
So okay. So the service side, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we took a car in for service recently at that Lexus dealership that I'm growing to hate. Oh, by the way, I was trolling through the job boards the other day, and their service department manager, there's a position open at that dealership for.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Trouble in Paradise. Okay, so they had a situation where it was like, everybody's masked up, okay, and they take your car, and then they had the two different PIN buckets because you got to sign paperwork, authorizing them to do the service or that you're going to agree to pay for it. Well, then you can't put that PIN back in the same PIN bucket, so they had like a dirty pins and a fresh pins, right? And just little things like that you had to, yeah.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because now when I go out, I take my own pen with me.
That's smart.
Because I'm expecting there may be a transaction.
Yep.
Because I ask them, I don't need a receipt. And if I don't have to sign anything, I'm good with it. And that saves them paper and time too, keeps them safe as well. See, that's another side. That's something else that's going to change because, right now we are so used to just touching. We got receipts to sign. The point of sale industry is going to change.
Well,
as well.
contactless payments have spiked lately.
Yeah, that's
phones
what I'm
and the
talking
cards.
about.
Like I've got one of those cards,
Yes.
like you just push the thing and hold it up next to the. That's all
Yes.
gone through the roof. Okay.
So and there's going to be, again, I said this in the beginning of this podcast. In times like these, there's always opportunities.
Yeah.
There's opportunities in everything.
So VW, you posted this. Their car sales have plunged a little bit. They've got to figure out an opportunity to fix this. Now, could that opportunity be, and I'm going to segue this back into what we almost jumped into earlier. Oh, boy. Is Volkswagen union, do you know, here in the United States? Are they?
Chattanooga.
Okay.
Chattanooga they are. In Tennessee they are union, yes.
So, robotics, automation. Okay. So
Social distancing. Remember, folks, social distancing.
So the manufacturers are now forced to, on an assembly line, maybe not have two people standing right next to each other or directly across from each other. And then you've got the contact thing where, if you're putting in upholstery or whatever, and then you gotta. It's really hard to do some of those jobs with gloves on or with certain you're hot, you're sweating, you're dripping sweat, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're gonna have to figure that out. But opportunity here could come in the form of increased automation, and guess who that's not going to make happy?
Ooh, the unions, man.
Because it's fewer employees in the production line.
Ooh, that's right. Guess what? Ooh. This is going to get interesting, man.
And
this is going to get really, really interesting.
As you have pointed out, and I'll try to not click on another pop-up ad as I close that page, it takes, you've said this quite a few times over the past year, it takes fewer people to Did you say, does it take fewer people to assemble an EV, or it's just fewer parts?
Both.
So
Both. Fewer parts and fewer. I mean, you don't have an engine.
So if I'm just going to randomly pick somebody. If I'm Volkswagen, okay,
Yeah.
or Ford, it doesn't matter, okay,
Right.
And I'm looking at ways to stay in business, which probably means cutting cost on the production side for the short term, but also finding ways to build cars that still have the same quality but cost less to manufacture.
Right.
I'm going to maybe lean towards that EV. The trend is already going that way anyway. And by the way, since we've all been at home the past month, there's no pollution, right? Like you can see downtown Los Angeles now from the hills. So everybody's kind of had this reawakening of the EV thing is, catching steam, so to speak, right? Picking up steam.
Right.
I smell a big fight coming from the unions. I smell a big fight coming.
Yes, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And this is not just auto factories, where they're making vehicles. It's going to be the parts, everything that it takes. There's going to be any unionized auto industry. Yeah, you're right. It's going to. You smell.
I smell
what
two-stroke
I'm-
fuel from that guy behind your house right now with his leaf blower.
I'm about to. It's not a leaf blower. I can't believe that he's decided to trim the tree.
Is
out
he
here
really?
right now? Yeah.
Jay's about to lose his cookies, man.
I am about to lose the cookies because
It's fine. It's just an entertainment factor. It's fine.
Yeah, but he knows nothing but like full throttle.
Well,
That's it.
At least it's not my neighbor who runs his 3 days a week and cuts his most. He's actually out there every day doing something, whether it's running the lawnmower or running the weed blower or whatever.
Yeah. So please, audience, if you hear that, don't worry, it'll go away. Mine does.
One way or the other.
Keith unfortunately doesn't. So
I'm trying to find ways to deal with that, and I'm other than the obvious,
Oh man.
right?
No. Yeah. I hear you.
Shotgun on the front porch, but
Gotcha.